What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew 2. And well, as y'all know, it is Wednesday, which means the new summit is now live. And it's kind of insane because I really do feel like time is flying by. But nonetheless, though, this week, guys, we're going to have the Rider Challenge, which is going to give us one more summit. And then we'll be in the next season after that. But nonetheless, though, the Rider Challenge is going to have the Nitro Chemist boosted for the motocross bikes. So if you guys are not a big fan of the motocross bikes on the Crew 2, which honestly I really can't blame you, they can definitely be kind of wonky to use, and if you do have to level them, I would say a lot of players might not want to deal with that. So luckily you have a chance to get one of the Nitro Chemist sets for it, which I would highly recommend doing that. But the next summit, I would say, is probably going to be one of the most intense ones this entire season so far, which I would also say is going to be well worth getting because I know a lot of players might be looking for a better set for the drift class, and luckily you will now have a chance to get that as well. And then taking a look at the summit, guys, is definitely going to be a fun one for that matter. I also feel like a lot of players are probably really going to like this one as well. We're going to have some street races in there. You also get to drive the Performante in a forced race as well. We're going to have a rallycross, a touring, and or another hypercar event with the lovely Veneno. So I think this summit's going to be pretty fun. And as I did mention before, if you guys are looking to get this car, it may end up being a pretty long time before this car does make another return onto the Crew 2. I know a lot of players do love this vehicle, so it's awesome Ubisoft is giving everybody a chance to grab this thing. So if you guys do want the Performante, I would definitely recommend doing this summit because this car is honestly pretty awesome. And now moving right over to the summit this week. So I'm not going to lie, guys, I would say this summit is probably going to be on the annoying side for many people. The main reason why I say that is it's going to be mainly motorcycles. Obviously, I guess the name of the summit would kind of give that away in an instance, but there's going to be 3 motocross races and then basically 3 street races after that. So jumping right into this, guys, the first thing is going to be a slalom, and for this one, I did end up running the Ford Fiesta, which I'm not going to lie, I would definitely say a rally raid vehicle is probably going to be a better option on this one. I did notice the Ford Fiesta, and with it being a rallycross car, I definitely did see it struggle, but even with it struggling, I still managed to beat this pretty easily and still got 20,000 points on this. So if you guys are feeling kind of insane, you could probably run like a hyper and or a street car. I just feel like the bumps on this slalom might end up making that a little harder than it should be. And then moving over to the next skill is going to be a low altitude, and for this one I did end up picking the Zivko Edge 540 V3. One thing I don't want to lie about though is I don't think the route I went on this one is probably going to be the best. I still managed to get 29,000 points though, which is going to be 156k, basically almost maxed out on the point threshold for the skills. And luckily, taking a weird route on this one also did seem to work as well. The biggest thing I would say is watch out for the trees. They can definitely come out of nowhere. And then moving over to the final skill this week is going to be an escape, and for this one I decided to run a hypercar. The Koenigsegg Regera I would say is going to be a great option. You guys could probably run an Alpha GP vehicle, maybe even a drag car, but to be honest I would say the drag car is probably not going to be the greatest thing for this. For me, I found a hypercar to be the best one, and originally when I first started this actual escape I was going to basically go around the objective and go the opposite direction, but it turns out I would recommend basically starting, turning around immediately, and then hitting the objective right when you guys do start going the right way. I feel like that's probably going to be the easiest way to do this one, and I got pretty close to 7,000 yards. I would say the biggest thing with this one is watching out for the pedestrians. And now moving over to the first event is of course going to be a motocross race, and for this one I did pick the KTM 450 EXC. I would honestly say, guys, this is going to be one of the best bikes to use. I don't have anything against the other bikes in the game. I just feel like for base, like racing and pretty much everything, I feel like the regular KTM 450 EXC is going to be really good. Do keep in mind, by the way, in the SquadX event, there's going to be a couple of cuts on this event. I didn't find it to be really annoying to do them, and luckily there's not too many of them, but I would say they would definitely help your score a lot. And remember, guys, when you're in the air with the motocross bikes, always hit that nitrous. And then moving over to the next event is going to be a street race with the Ducati DraXter. What's kind of funny is I found this bike to be a lot better than I actually thought it was going to be. The Ducati actually has really good handling and or stability. What's also kind of funny is besides the test video I did on this bike a while ago, I don't actually think I ever used this bike besides that, so it's definitely kind of cool to see this thing show up in a summit. It seemed to handle pretty well, and not only that, this thing does around 205 miles an hour or so, which is going to be pretty average for most of the bikes in the street class. But the next event, you guys can use any bike of your choice. And what's kind of funny is I decided to try the Ducati DraXter once again. The bike actually did a lot better than I thought it was going to. So if you guys really wanted to, you could actually run the DraXter on both of these events here. I would say it would do just fine. Do keep in mind the second event is going to be Pikes Peak though, so I have found this event to be kind of interesting, especially with motorcycles. Luckily, the Ducati Dragster handles a lot better than I thought. And then moving over to the next motocross event is going to be Colorado Riverbanks. I would say out of all of the ones in this summit, this is probably going to be the easiest one. At least that's what I have noticed anyway. There's not that many cuts on this one. Then again, there probably is, and I probably was not doing them enough. But then again, guys, I try not to cut too many times in these events because I know they can be kind of annoying to do. Luckily, even running this race mostly normal for the most part, I still got 1 minute and 58 seconds with 135,000 points, so luckily guys on this one, you don't really have to cut all that much if you don't want to. And then moving over to the final motocross event in the summit, I would say is probably going to be the most annoying one to do. The main reason why I say that is some of the cuts in this one can be kind of annoying to get down. The way you have to jump over a mountain and basically land in like the perfect place. Then in other areas you basically have to jump over the fence and then you have to go back on track to get to the checkpoint. And I would say some of them might be kind of annoying to get down. And if you guys are on last gen, I do remember when I was playing on PS4, when you guys do go back on track, I think it's a little bit slower on last gen, so do keep that in mind, and I would say you still might want to do that on one of the turns, but I would definitely say this is probably going to be one of the more annoying races in this entire summit, but even then, guys, once you guys get some of the cuts down, I think we'll make this race just a little bit easier. And now moving over to the final event in the summit is going to be with the new Indian FTR 1200S. You guys will have to use this bike on one of the rallycross races as well, so do keep that in mind. I feel like these bikes definitely do not belong on this. I really don't know what gave that away. Maybe it's driving this thing into the water. Who would actually do that with one of these street bikes? But then again, let's throw a snorkel on there. Okay, maybe I'm actually losing my mind, but this is going to be the Tiger Tonic event, so like I said, there is going to be water on this one. Luckily, the Indian FTR did a lot better than I thought. I actually thought this bike was going to have a lot of issues, and it handled really well on the dirt. Not only that, it did a lot better than I thought in the water, which probably doesn't belong in the same sentence. I also do want to mention I will be doing a video on this bike later on in the week, so like customization, a top speed test, and maybe like a race as well to test this thing out. That's not actually going to be on one of the rallycross events and on a proper street race for that matter. But besides that, guys, that's probably going to do it for this summit. I feel like a lot of players might not like this one because the events can be kind of frustrating, but at least we're going to get a new bike out of this that if you guys want, you luckily can just buy that one.